Hello everyone, welcome to today's race. We are here at Monza in the GTEs, an absolutely cracking combo for this week, and we've got a long video ahead of us because there's a lot to cover. So I hope you're comfortable and you've maybe got yourself a brew to drink, because we are going to be diving straight into it here. We're going to be starting in the mid-pack in a 30 car field, quite a large field for this sort of top split. And we're already now spacing out as we get underway here. We have cars to our outside, but importantly I have the inside coming into the chicane, so I'm just going to be watching for what's going on ahead of us here, keeping a keen eye as we see the first bits of smoke and parts flying across the track there. So just going to try and hook the inside as much as possible, give space on the outside. So you can see we have a Ford GT hanging around there, but we get a good enough exit there where the long right turn here is going to give us the position, because it is very difficult to hang around there unless you have a big speed difference. And our BMW this week has a great deal of speed behind it with such a low wing. And I'm now going to be watching into this second chicane, so there's just as much of a chance of an incident here, but looks like everyone is threading it very fine. So I'm just going to try and stick as close to the pack ahead as can, but we have contact between the two Corvettes and they are both off. That's two more positions for us. And we have the Ford following through close behind. We might get another position here as we see the Ferrari going very wide on the exit, losing a lot of their momentum. So we're just going to try and use the power of the BMW here to get ahead of them coming into Ascari. And you can see we are clear, the Ford having a little look themselves, but they do back off sensibly. So now I just need to try and keep this nice and tidy through here, though the car is very skittish with such a low wing and the cold tyres, but we have done it and we're through the first lap. Now we can have a look at that incident on turn one, and it's an age-old tale here. The Corvette getting caught out slightly, missing their braking point, collecting the two in front of them who come off worse, and they managed to get away with only minor damage. This was the incident coming into the first Lesmo, and it's just a little bit too aggressive on the door banging, especially on the cold tyres where it's very easy to unsettle the car. So we rejoined onto lap 2 now, and we've caught back up to this lovely orange Porsche RSR in front of us, driven by Pete. I just want to try and see if we can work together now as we enter the pack racing phase, where we want to start forming into a group and see if we can work together in order to catch the cars in front of us. You can see the P6 is not that far up the road, and especially if they start fighting, that is going to slow them down here. So I just want to try and work together with people who are on a similar pace to me. But coming into Ascari, I have a bit of a lock-up on the rear brakes there, which unsettles my car and loses me a lot of momentum. So Philippe is now right up behind us here. Though the slipstream is not very strong in these cars because we're already running such a low wing as you do at Monza, so he's not going to gain too much, but he is going to have the opportunity to the inside. So I do brake late and I come off the brake seeing that he closed up on us, so we both run very deep into the parabolica there. That loses me time to Pete. However, Philippe is going to lose out more now as Javier in that Ford GT comes alongside him, now getting that side draft. So they're going to be coming side by side towards the first chicane. I'm going to be watching just in case their fight turns south, because I don't want to get collected along with them. And especially as Javier closes up on us, being very brave under braking, I do get a little bit off there. But he does slot in behind us, and we continue to work together, unlike the lead group who, as you're going to see here, they're starting to fight coming into the second chicane. There's a little bit of contact between the Porsche and the Corvette, but that sends the Corvette very deep, losing a lot of momentum on the sand. So the Porsche is now side by side coming into the first Lesmo. Very difficult for the Corvette to hold around the outside, and indeed they lose the position to the Porsche into the second Lesmo. But that fighting really brought them back into our grasp, and it's not over yet. You can see they're still fighting ahead of us, with that Ferrari now making up a position on the Corvette. It looks like poor Gustavo in the Corvette was the weakest link of their group, which has now really brought us into contention here. So all me and Pete need to do is keep our heads down here, as we might be able to still get past Gustavo. And I want to try and egg Pete on, but it seems like Pete is now starting to struggle a little bit here, going wide, missing the apex there of the first Lesmo. And I'm going to get a little bit worried if this carries on, because we do not want to lose Gustavo and that group here, because They are going to be our ticket up towards the battle for P6. As we can see, the leader groups have really just disappeared now. They are on a completely different pace to us. And as Pete has another little moment coming out of Ascari, he is losing time to Gustavo, but I do want to give him another chance here. I'm going to just close up, try and give him a push, but no contact because I don't trust the bump drafting in these cars. That might have sent Pete a little bit off though. You can see he's gone deep once again, losing more time to Gustavo, but I just got to be patient here. There's a good chance we will get this back because this is a long race. So especially with the pit stop that we are going to have to make for fuel, it's going to be important that we try to work together as much as possible before the pit stops. And we were helped more in catching up with them because there was a big Constantina moment here. Contact between all three of the cars, slowing up Gustavo. So we're going to come back in now and see that we are right up behind Gustavo. Pete's having a look. I start having a look, but I'm not going to really commit to it. I want to just try and show that we need to get past Gustavo at this point, who seems to be slowing us up. And if Pete can get his act together, we might stand a chance of getting past him. And it's going to get helped once again as they continue fighting ahead of us. The Ferrari trying to go down the inside. However, this time the Porsche does exceptionally well to hang it around the outside, defending his position. So we are going to really keep bunched up here. Just going to work out for us as we start crunching through some of these laps. So I have another big moment coming into Ascari, locking up the rear brakes, and Yavia behind us does go into the back of us there. I'm not sure if I scared him, if he was also losing it a bit under the braking. You can see here he is sideways coming over that curb, but I feel that he was just got scared there by me also losing control in front of him. Now the next few laps just passed on by as we really did finally settle down and started churning out those laps. The Ferrari was definitely fastest around here. You can see he's already started to pull a bit of a gap to Elias in that Porsche, which just continued to grow over the course of the lap. But between Elias and myself, we were all very close together in our little group. However, onto lap 8, Pete has lost the slipstream of Gustavo ahead, so I now know I need to get ahead of Pete if we are going to stand a chance of gaining any more positions. So I'm going down his inside here. We can actually see Elias in that Porsche has gone wide himself, and there's contact between him and Gustavo, which pushed Gustavo onto the sand. And now he is around the outside here, which is going to be a nice easy move for us to make, helped by the slipstream with Elias. I got very surprised here that Elias went so deep. There was no real pressure from Gustavo behind, so that was a mistake on his part. And then not really helped by pushing Gustavo off like that. So we are now right up behind Elias coming into second chicane. He's very slow as well, which catches me off guard, and we have another Constantina effect with Gustavo behind us, thankfully slowing up enough to avoid the contact there. And that's pushed us right back there and given Elias a bit of a gap. I just got caught off guard and expecting him to go off the second part of that chicane. Thankfully, it's not a serious incident, and we are going to have a good chance to catch back up to him, as we can see here coming into the Parabolica. And Gustavo has a bit of a late braking moment there. He misjudged it, and that's opened the door to Pete, who's now going to be down his inside. It's like Gustavo might have been struggling with that car. You can see he does have some damage on his front right quarter there, which might be affecting him. I'm not sure if he has bent steering, but it's definitely going to be slowing him down aerodynamically, which is giving Pete a great opportunity coming into the first chicane. There is some contact between them, and Pete does lock up. However, he's able to still make it to the apex and keep to the inside. There's some good space given between them, and Pete does secure the position in the end. We rejoin onto lap 13. There's been quite a few laps of me just trying to follow Elias and see if we can gap the cars behind us in the battle for P6. We can see Gustavo goes very deep behind us there across the grass. We are now right up behind Elias, looking underneath the wing of that Porsche. And with us coming into the closing stages before the pit stops, I do want to get ahead of him here, and he can feel the pressure that I'm starting to put on him. And I'm helped by the fact that the BMW is so strong over those curves in the second part of the chicane there, which allows me to stay up right close behind him, though the Porsche is definitely stronger through the Lesmos, though the second Lesmo seems to be better for the BM, because you can see I can get such a better exit here, so we are still closely tied nose to tail here coming up towards Ascari. I normally would not want to try and make a move here because there is a long straight afterwards. However, with such little slipstream, there's not a lot to be gained from just hanging back, so I am going to try down the inside, but Elias does hold us off around the outside quite nicely with us both giving each other enough space to not have any form of contact. So I'm just slotting behind him again for now, try and bide my time, because though we are coming up towards the pit stops with only a few laps left in the tank, this is still a long race. You can see we're only just coming up to the halfway point here at 22 minutes, so this is an endurance in itself. Elias does try to fake like he's going into the pit stops, but I'm not buying it, and we are now firmly tucked into that slipstream. You can see me closing up so much, hiding underneath his wing. Elias dives to the inside there, so I am just going to try to hang around the outside, braking a little bit later. And we do come very close there with Elias coming close on that midpoint between the two corners, but we just avoid the contact, and once again I slot in behind Elias, getting another little bit of that slipstream, anything to help me come up alongside him here, which now forces him to defend into the second chicane once again, and all our fighting has brought yet another car into contention here. You can see Yao in that BMW right up behind us, and there's a little bit of contact between us there, but thankfully it's not serious, so I can continue pushing on, following Elias through the Lesmos here. I am definitely feeling the extra pressure from Yao behind us in that BMW, so I'm really gonna have to keep pushing now to be ahead of Elias, because it's running out of time here. I've only got probably another lap left in the car before I'll have to be into the pits, so coming down this straight, I really want to get to that inside. I'm surprised Elias does not defend it, but that might work out better for him, going around the outside whilst I go over the curbs, using the strength of that BMW there. There is contact, which does throw me a little bit off canter there, so I just try to stay in behind Elias, getting that slipstream, and once again he's not going to hold the inside, still favouring the outside, so I just stay in the middle trying to cover off Yao as well. So this is now me down the inside of Elias. I try to make sure I do not overdrive the car. I'm getting on the traction control there, which does slow me a little bit on the exit, and that's leaving me and Elias side by side coming down the main straight here. It's just going to be a drag race, and I am a little bit worried that Yao behind us might try to make it 3 wide. You can see him coming up behind us. I'm a bit worried, but he does back off, so it is now just between me and Elias into the first chicane. I try to hold it close and then give space and get a good exit there. And we just about seem to have matched Elias, but I am now on the inside into this long right corner, which is exactly where I want to be, because that is going to give me the position, as Elias just does not have the speed to hold it around the outside there. And I now need to defend to the inside, because Yao is coming up quick on us. I need to make sure he's not going to get an opportunity to go down the inside of both of us there. That's worked out quite nicely, because Yao is now forced back into Elias, which is going to slow them both up and give me an opportunity to build a gap here, as we are going to be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. Now we are running on the fumes in this tank. I'm not going to be able to get another lap, so this has been a crucial win for me at this stage of the race. Yao was also going to follow us through here. You can see he gets around the outside of Elias, which is going to promote him up to P7 behind us in P6. This is going to give him a good standing as we get ready to enter the pits. I reckon everyone behind me is going to be entering, but we actually see Yavia in the Ford peels off. He's going to go an extra lap there, trying to make the overcut work whilst we three peel off into the pits. And this will be a crucial point now, as though I can't win the race here in the pits, I can definitely lose it if I make a mistake. So I rely on crew chief to get the fuel right, and we are off. I do wish that the pits were a little bit more built up like they are in IndyCar, but that's definitely something iRace can revisit in the future as we emerge from the pits in the same order as we left off. However, we're going to be on board now with Gustavo, who's coming up the main straight. He's done the undercut on us, so we're going to see if we're going to be ahead of him coming into the first chicane. I'm stuck to the inside with the pit exit, so I do stay there. I leave the space in case Gustavo is going to try and fight us, but he just falls back into place. So I am now in P6 firmly at the lead of this group here. You can see the others are not too far behind us though, so I need to just try and get back into my consistent rhythm and get through these last few laps, as the fighting is likely going to take place on the last couple between us three. However, on lap 19, I was going to make a big error here coming into the first chicane. I'll be watching because I'm going to start locking up, braking way too hard there. I start sliding and try to correct it. However, then I get collected by Gustavo. I'm then going to compound this by trying to move off, checking my relative, thinking I had enough time. I just catch Javier and he gets turned and collects another car there. I'll have to review exactly what just happened. So starting on Gustavo's view, he is right behind us and he can see me sliding. There's little he can do though to avoid it, so he does tag us, thankfully not too hard. And then following through with that, this was Javier coming up on the incident behind us, and this is my big mistake, trying to move when I should have either reversed or held my position. It was compounded, however, though, by Javier then trying to move as well after their spin, and they seem to have tagged the side of Elias and definitely come off worse. You can see they lose the front of their car there, and Elias as well here did well to avoid us, so it's unfortunate that I caused that incident between all of us. I have to really hold up my hands for that one, but the race continues and we rejoin, and we are straight away under pressure now from Juan in that Corvette, who is looking down our inside into the second chicane. I just about hold him off there, though it was very close on the exit. And I'm now catching back up to Javier coming into Ascari. Still very twitchy. The car is not quite where it was before, probably with the tyres being overheated, but it looks like Javier is in a much worse state here. And I do feel bad for this, but I am going to have to get past him here if I do want to continue trying to make back some of the places I lost in the race. So we're down the inside into Parabolica, using the fact that you can see there he has no front end on that car. He is really struggling now. And he's going to lose the position as well to Juan later on in the lap, who is now right behind us once again, and he's going to be putting pressure on us. I just need to try and keep my cool, but I get a big slide there coming out of the chicane, and Juan is now looking to our inside into the first Lesmo, so I have to try and hold it long around the outside, which I'm able to do, carrying that momentum. But he is still there, and he's going to have a look down the inside again into the second Lesmo. It's a very close touch between us, and you see he has to back off there. That was a very dangerous move from him, so I'm going to have to watch out for his aggression in the future. We're back onto lap 23, and I've managed to catch up to Elias by just using some clean air racing, and Elias has a big lock up there, taking to the escape road on the first chicane. You see he's knocked a few of the bollards over, so he's going to be serving that slowdown, which is going to cost him another position. And we still have Juan not far behind us, but we are catching up to that orange Porsche from Pete. And a lap later, we are now right up behind Pete, so I'm going to be looking to see if I can get past him, because we are into the closing laps here of this race. You can see Pete has a big slide there on the exit of the chicane, so we are now right up behind him, putting the pressure there. And Juan is not that far behind either, so I really want to get ahead of Pete, just because I can feel that Juan is going to make a dangerous move that might end both our races if I'm not careful. So Pete's defending to the inside this time into the second chicane. There's contact between us, and then contact with Juan, who tried to dive down the inside there. See, he's flashed his lights. He's not very happy with me for that, but I was holding my line there around the outside. I'm still at least right up behind Pete now. We've got a bit more of a gap to Juan, so I can try and focus on getting past Pete and put as much distance between the two of us, as I now have a great run coming out of the second Lesmo. We see Pete is now going to defend to the inside, so I'm going to try around the outside for the first time in this race. I'm just going to try and brake a little bit later and carry momentum whilst he's having to take that sharper line. I try and then hug this inside to leave him space. There's a little tap between us, and looks like Pete got a bit unsettled from that, so he loses a lot of momentum, and Juan is able to get past him. I hold to the inside just because I don't want to give either of them the slipstream, but Juan is now right behind us. I do plan to move across, but we seem to move at the same time, and then braking for the Parabolica, and Juan goes into the back of us there. I definitely felt I had not overslowed, as that was where I was normally braking. So we'll have to have a look exactly what happened there between us. So starting off here, we can actually see Juan gets a mega run coming through Ascari. He times that perfectly to get underneath Pete and get the position on him. He's then going to tuck in behind me, trying to get some slipstream to close up the gap between us. And now I had already planned to try and move across because I wanted to open up, and I really does look like I move in retaliation to him. However, it's under braking where it seems to all come apart, as Juan was really trying to be later on the brakes there, and unfortunately it did not work out for him. And worse still, Pete getting caught up in all of that cost him yet more positions and made for a rather controversial ending to the race. But we are still going to cross the line here in Puinai, managing to salvage a few positions from where we were earlier. I had to at least start though by apologising profusely to Yavia for what happened in that first chicane. Thankfully we were able to make amends, but I wasn't able to get a message through to Juan, so that is still very much unsolved between us. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. I at least felt I could hold my hands up for the mistakes I made, but I feel that there was still some on Juan for all his actions. And hopefully you have enjoyed today's race. If you did, please have a look on my channel at some of my other videos, and I hope to see you all again next time.